Hi everyone. This is example 10 from chapter 13 in your student packet. It says a poll found that 38% of a random sample of 1,012 adults said they believe in ghosts. Create a 95% confidence interval for the percent of adults who believe in ghosts. So again, I'm going to emphasize, be sure to use your calculator. So we're going to go to Stat, Tests, and you're going to choose a 1 prop Z interval. And then we need to know X, N, and our C level. Well, X in this case is the hardest part to figure out because notice that instead of a proportion, we're given a percent. But we have our total. So X is basically the numerator of our fraction, of our proportion. So to figure that out, if we take the percent and multiply it by the sample size, we will get the numerator. Now, when you do this, you get 384.56. But we don't typically have a decimal as our numerator, so you should round this to a whole number. Now, if you don't round this, your calculator will give you an error. So be very careful, make sure it's a whole number. Now, N, again, was the sample size. So this is 1,012. And our C level is 0.95. And the output for this is going to be 0.35052 and 0.41035. So we are 95% confident that between 35% and 41% of adults believe in ghosts. So for part B, it says, what is the margin of error for the confidence interval you found in part A? So again, there is a formula for this, but I want to talk about it in a more logical way if you understand the confidence interval. So when you write a confidence interval, the sample proportion that you found, that 38%, is right in the middle. And then this is going out to the upper bound of the confidence interval, which is 41%, and then to the lower bound of the confidence interval, which is 35%. The margin of error is the distance between this center and the outer edge. So this is the margin of error. So if you take 41 minus 38, you'll get a 3% margin of error. And notice that it doesn't matter if you're looking at the upper bound or the lower bound, you still get a margin of error of 3%. So it's basically telling you that 3% in either direction of this 38%, which was our sample proportion, gives us our confidence interval. So another way that you can find this is if you just start with the interval, then the margin of error would be the upper bound, that 0.41035, minus the smaller one divided by 2. Because remember, the margin error is half the distance of this full interval. And so if you do this, you get 0.029915, and you'll see that that rounds to 3%. So 3% is our margin of error. For part C, it says find the margin of error for this poll if we want to be 90% confident in our estimate of the adults who believe in ghosts. So now I want to go through the same process. So stat, tests, and we're going to do a 1 prop z interval. But now for the sea level, you're going to use 0.9. And you will get a confidence interval of we've got 0.35533 and 0.40554. So we're 90% confident that the true proportion of adults that believe in ghosts is between 35.5% and 40.5%. So let's figure out the margin of error for this. So the margin of error, again, if we take the upper bound of our interval, subtract the lower bound of the interval, and divide by 2, you'll get a margin of error of 0.025105, which is about 2.5%. So notice that we became less confident. So when we moved from 95% confidence to 90% confidence, that also meant that our margin of error got smaller. That's because if we want to be less confident, then we're going to have less error. So what's going to happen if we want to be more confident? So for part D, if we want to be 99% confident, will the margin of error be larger or smaller? Well, the more confident you want to be, the more error that you're going to have. So the margin of error will be larger.